Preview. Preview.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. If you're wondering who's going to take over Batman from Josh Williamson, well, it's Chip Zdarsky. So Chip Zdarsky will be the new writer of the Batman solo title, and this will start some point during the summer. They're talking about it in July's Batman number 125, which will be a double-sized issue. And Chip Zdarsky is saying that he is the writer for the long haul. So not a temporary writer. If you might remember, Josh Williamson was basically coming onto the book in somewhat of a temporary state. Originally, James Tynion was on the book in a temporary state, and then his run got extended. He then went over to Substack and then went kind of back to DC a little bit, but he's still over at Substack, of course. But in this case, Chip Zdarsky, who's writing Daredevil right now and will continue to write Daredevil. They're relaunching Daredevil following the Devil's Reign storyline. Chip Zdarsky will be the writer of Batman, and he's saying, I am going to be here for a long time. He's going to be joined out the gate with Jorge Jimenez, who's going to be doing art. Now, Jimenez has done Batman before, of course. He worked with Tynion, and he's a lot of experience with Batman, so there's some continuity there with that artist. Chip Zdarsky also has been working at DC. He has his Black Label Batman The Knight, which is basically looking at how Bruce Wayne became Batman, the kind of training he did, and everything else, and leading up to that version of the character. So he's done some other stories in and around DC. Probably this marks the highest profile kind of creator doing books at both companies that are also high profile at the moment. So doing Daredevil, obviously it's not one of the A titles, but it is one that Marvel's really started to put some energy around. I think if it is true that Daredevil is going to have more of a presence in the MCU, I'd expect them to continue to kind of boost that up. But we just had this Devil's Reign event, which was centered around Daredevil, came out of that storyline, and was written by Chip Zdarsky, and that was one of their big events. Now, of course, it's one of the 18 events they will do this year, but it was one of their higher profile ones. I'd say Devil's Reign is getting a little bit more of a push from Marvel than, say, Reckoning War. It will get less of a push than X-Men, Avengers, Eternals, but still pretty big event, pretty high profile. And then going on to Batman, that is DC's number one selling title, is actually the only title that I think cracked the top 20, at least in the limited numbers that we got in the month of January. So pretty big deal, I'd say. And Chip Zdarsky, he's been writing a pretty solid street-level hero in Daredevil. What's he going to bring to Batman? It sounds like a kind of very similar take. We don't know completely from his plans, but a lot of the art does feature Damian, and I think there is at least a belief here that we will see Damian kind of be more of an active Robin in this entire picture. But Zdarsky gave us a little bit about what we can expect from his run. So he talked about he's going to have a darker, edgier Gotham City. I'm not sure what is a darker, edgier Gotham compared to some of the things we've seen. Anyway, so Jimenez is apparently adapting his art style slightly to also come up with a darker, grittier take on the city. In addition, Zdarsky is saying he's bringing a new villain, and in this case, he's trying to create a villain that compares to Doomsday for Superman. And this is presumably part of his first arc, which he says will be 6 issues, kicking off with July's Batman 125. And the villain is named Failsafe. If you're going to come onto a Batman book, you've got to create some new villains in the hopes that IP can generate into a lot of money for you. So you can excite the fans with lots of exciting things. But we are getting Failsafe. Failsafe as a character, we're not hearing much about it other than he is going to challenge Batman mentally, physically, and in terms of his relationship. So he will beat him in arm wrestling and chess and sleep with Catwoman, I think is the plan. So this comic is going to be relaunching at the same time the Justice League are actually dead. They're getting killed in Justice League number 75 in May. So this Batman story will have pretty much nothing to do with any of that and kind of live in its own little pocket universe, and that's probably fine. What I like about this, again, I think Zdarsky's a writer. This fits him as a writer. I think that Jimenez on a book is always good news because I think he does really good quality work. But more importantly, the thing that honestly gives me the best feeling of all about this is the idea that he's going to be on the title for a while, that he is in it for the long haul. And I think that's pretty great. I think that's the kind of thing when I look at announcements from comics. I've said this on videos before. You've heard it, where I said one of the best things you could do to get me excited about a comic book and others is to say, we're going to give this person a long run. So the creator here is saying he is in it for the long haul, pointing to his current ongoing and long Daredevil run, and that he plans to stick around for an extended period. He's also saying, he says, my plans will be felt throughout all Bat titles, which is a feat, like all 50 of them. Wow. And that readers will be pretty happy. Well, here's hoping. So this is some good news. I think DC has been plagued with a lot of bad news or troubling news. And in this case, they've got a writer that pretty well liked, I think, in general, and has certainly proven the chops to write a character like this. So that's good news as well. And I'm excited to see where it all goes. I think that's potentially interesting. Related to this is that they also announced, not quite the same level of announcement, that the DC universe, the Justice League, will be being mashed up with anime Mech. So that's not exactly a thing, but this is definitely feels like Avengers Mech Strike. This is DC Mech. It's a 6-issue limited series. And this is from Kenny Porter, not Howard Porter, as some other people have done. Kenny Porter's done a couple Batman urban legend stories. And Unearthed artist Valdemar Rivas, I butchered the hell out of that name. Anyway, this is basically taking on from the aftermath of World War II, the Justice Society, and basically builds giant mech suits, and that we get, Mech Justice League mobile Gundam style things. This title, of course, also happening roughly at the same time that the Justice League is dead in their own title, so it has nothing to do with any of that. So those announcements are not quite at the same level, but there we go. So some pretty big DC news. I guess I can also point out that this summer, 2 other Justice League characters who are currently dead, Flash, or not about to be dead, Flash and Aquaman will also have a team-up comic, a 3-issue limited series, Aquaman and the Flash Void Song, which will pit Aquaman and Flash against an alien invasion. So this is from writers Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanzing, and artist Vasco Georgiev and Rain Berdo. They are the only people on Earth not affected by an alien species attack, and they have to somehow figure out how to stop that. So all this stuff was announced at Comics Pro 2022. Again, the big news: Chip Zdarsky being the Batman solo writer. Curious what you all think about that. Is this something, lots of Batman books out there, but is Zdarsky helming a book and announcing he's going to do it for a long time? What does that do to your interest? Are you going to buy that book? So let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course, and thanks for listening.